Hello everyone, and welcome to Let's Play Stellaris. I am your host, Colors Fade. It's episode 1 of the Devouring Swarm playthrough. You could see here, I received a comment from Team Yellow. It says, been trying to play a Devouring Swarm and would love to play through. Haven't seen one on your channel. And I thought, you know what, that's a great experiment. I went through all my previously created species and noticed that I did have a Devouring Swarm that I'd created. So I have played it at some point in time in the past, but that was before we got version updates to 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, and we got things like Origins, which are really cool. So I went through and I created a brand new Devouring Swarm, and I tested it out. I played a complete game, and much to my surprise, it went way better than I thought. So here we are, and I'm going to show you some of the key things about this species I've created. Let's start with the traits. They're natural sociologists. They're rapid breeders. Okay, let's start with that. As a devouring swarm, they're quite a bit different than a regular species, and one of the things you cannot get as a devouring swarm is robots. You can't play with them. So you don't get that double boost of being able to grow two species at the same time, your organic one and your robots on a planet. So we absolutely have to take rapid breeders. I also wanted to take natural sociologists to give plus 15% to society research, because we are going to go down the evolutionary mastery line for our perks. We need that so that we can help build species that are ideal for all the different kinds of planets that we're going to come across. We want to be able to change their biomes, so we want to have species that are ideal for deserts and ideal for cold climates, as well as the regular ones and we also have tomb world habitability, because we want to be able to make use of tomb worlds that we run across. I keep running across a lot of them, so that's why I did this. To do all of that, to take these two things, I had to take a -1 for quarrelsome. You are going to end up with more unity than you know what to do with a hive mind. So it's not a big deal. This is almost no penalty at all. I want to talk real briefly about benefits and drawbacks of playing a hive mind and of playing this devouring swarm. One of the big drawbacks you might not notice right off the bat is you cannot have an EQ monopolist with a Gestalt consciousness. So here we are, not in our origin, but governments. With this, you cannot get, with this, that I don't know if it's pronounced Gestalt or Gestalt, but this, you can't have an EQ monopolist, and you cannot take the archaeology project in your perks. So you will never have an EQ monopolist. That's okay. You're going to have tons of planets, and you're going to be able to build lots of alloys on them, but that's something to be aware of as you start to play them. You may wonder, where's the archaeology project? You can't do it. When I first created this species and test played it, I actually created it with a relic world, because I thought I would turn it into an EQ monopolist, and oops, you can't do it. The planetary decision won't show up. So no ecology, no EQ monopolist. You won't have to worry about consumer goods with a hive mind, which is great. You're only going to have to worry about alloys and science, really. The drawback is you don't get any trade. So you're going to be crunched for energy for quite a while, which is a little sad. You won't need habitats. And in fact, I didn't build a single habitat in my test play. It's unnecessary. You're going to take worlds, and you're going to take so many worlds. You won't be able to develop them all. So no habitats, which is nice. You definitely want to take the Colossus project with this species. You absolutely want to take that. You're going to need it. You're out to devour the galaxy, so you want to do it as quickly as possible. You're not going to get any diplomacy, and everybody hates you from the get-go. So one of the interesting things with playing a devouring swarm and a hive mind and a Gestalt consciousness, and this goes for determined exterminators as well, and anything else like that, where you can't do diplomacy, you're almost never going to have to declare war until late game, when you're so powerful nobody wants to face you. You're never going to have to declare war, because people are going to do it for you. You're going to have to be ready to go to war, because they're going to come after you. And you won't have much unemployment to deal with at all until the late game. Because you can't be, here's another bonus kind of, is that you don't have to deal with the Galactic Senate. You don't have to be a part of that, and you don't ever have to worry about passing those things. The one drawback is you will not get a use greater than yourselves to automatically move your unemployed pops. Now this is kind of okay, because you're not going to have a lot of unemployment for a very long time. So it's alright. So what I did is I took Devouring Swarm, because that's the thing they wanted to see. You can see all the bonuses here. They gain society research from eating xenopops, which is what you'll do when you'll take over worlds. Your starbase influence cost is much reduced to help you expand rapidly. Your ship hull hit points get plus 25%. Your daily hull regen and armor are up there. You get army damage plus 40%, which is huge. You get an additional 20% research to biology on top of the 15% we took to society research. And your ship build cost is reduced and your naval capacity is a bonus. It's very, very nice. If you want to take over the galaxy, this is a great way to do it. And what I also chose, this is not correct. I'm going to change this right here. It says research points. Unemployed drones also produce research. Here's the thing. I didn't know this when I created the species. You are not going to have unemployed pops until the very, very, very late game because you just can't grow pops fast enough. So we're going to get rid of that. We're going to take something else, in fact. Habitability might be nice. You don't have to worry about pop amenity usage. Well, you do, actually. You do have to worry about amenity usage, and an extra 10% to admin capacity would be. Here's the thing: you're going to end up with so many worlds. Just build admin buildings. You're going to end up with so many worlds, so this shouldn't be a problem. One mind, all your leaders are less likely to gain traits in monthly unity. Not a big deal. Pooled knowledge is kind of nice for the leader experience gain and the cap. And the naval capacity plus 15%. Again, naval capacity plus 15% sounds really nice, but you're going to build whole worlds with just fortresses on them. So you shouldn't have to worry about an empire sprawl from pops at minus 20%. This one is kind of nice, and in fact, if I was going to take a sprawl one, I wouldn't take this up here. What is it? Divided attention. I wouldn't take admin capacity plus 10%. I would take this Empire Sprawl from PAPS minus 20%. I haven't done the hard math on it, but I would almost guess that would be better. You're gonna end up with a lot of pops by the end of the game. It's just gonna take you a while to get there. But what I think I want to do here, the habitability and pop amenity usage is really nice. Or leader experience gain. We want leaders, and we need our scientists to get up. So we're gonna take that. All right, you are going to have a little bit of a problem with amenities and keeping people happy, but remember, you're Gestalt conscious, so it's not that big. Save that. All right, now that gets us to our origin. I took post-apocalyptic. I don't know if this is going to be a good choice because, like I said before, what I actually took before gave me the relic world, and you don't want that. You can't turn it into arcology. You can't turn it into an ecomonopolis, so there's no point in taking it. We're going to start with capital as a tomb world and gain the survivor trait, granting plus 70% habitability to the tomb world, and our leader lifespan is going to be an additional 10 years. This only affects tomb worlds. Now, we also start off with, let's see, where do we determine that? Oh, origin. It's not origin. Let's see, where is it? It's not there. Right here. Okay, so we can determine any of these, and I chose dry. You can choose any one of these here. So wet and frozen are going to have a slight. They're going to have the normal. They're going to be yellow and red. You're going to have a harder time. You're going to have a harder time colonizing them, but we will get evolutionary mastery, and then we'll make races of people that can go colonize these pretty easy. So here we go. This is what we're going to do. And back, and we're going to select these folks, and they're awesome, and we're gonna get to it. I'm going to plan a 600 star galaxy because we're trying to take over the whole galaxy, and we want the victory screen to pop when we defeat everybody, and that just takes longer on an 800 star system map, and or even 1,000. It takes forever. But the big thing is also the lag, and on 600 stars we don't get that much lag. We're going to do 10 times crisis strength. I don't want to do 25. You saw the previous video series. We beat 25. It's awesome. I don't want to do that again for a while. And we're going to do an end date of 2500. In my testing with this species, I managed to destroy everybody before the crisis even showed up, and way before this year showed up, on Grand Admiral with scaling, which is what we're going to do. So let's roll. Oh, and the thing I really like about playing a Devouring Swarm or a Determined Exterminator is destroying the Carabineers. And destroying the Artisan Troop and all these other people that you can't interact with. It's kind of fun. Alright, so here we go. 12 minutes into the video, we're finally going to get started. But I wanted to roll through all that stuff so you folks could understand my thinking and then get a little flavor for what's going to happen with this species. Alright, let's unlock the blue laser. Let's unlock monthly Unity +2. The nice thing about your Unity is you see up here your influence. That's for Unity, but let's talk about influence. You're going to have +4 to start, and very quickly when you play any of the what I'm going to call normal species, is this gets consumed through research treaties and economy treaties and migration treaties, and pretty soon you're like, I can't expand anymore because it's all being used. Not going to happen here. You're not making friends with anybody. You're taking them over. So it's kind of pretty awesome. I like that a lot. So we're going to do that. I'm going to back up here. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. We'll see where we're at. Wow. This has never happened to me. Look at this. There's only one way into our homeworld. Oh my gosh. That has never happened in all my almost 1,300 hours of playing Stellaris. I am a little bit flabbergasted by that. That is incredible. Okay, then we can take a look at our Tomb World. We get 100% Tomb World habitability because it's it gets 70% plus whatever it would have normally been. So we're 100%. That's nice. I mean, the idea that we can find Tomb Worlds and go sit on them and do whatever we want. The other thing is you're going to see they have a hive war in here, which isn't very necessary for us. Spawning pools, you want to make sure it's the first thing that shows up on every single planet. It spawns a job, which is great, but also pop growth speed plus 25%, and it spawns, I believe, what is that wrench thing there? It spawns this tech drone job. No, it can't be a tech drone job. It's got to be a maintenance drone. So these provide amenities. Yeah, it's this thing up here. So the first few worlds that you create, you're going to want to kind of balance them. And it's only going to be later that you want to start specializing. When I first started playtesting this species, my thinking was I was just going to make all my worlds uniform, as if I had a template, and I was just going to make them all exactly the same. And part of my logic for that was thinking, well, if somebody conquers a portion of my galaxy, for instance, let's say they get a sector that has nothing but bureaucracy in it, then I would take a massive hit to empire sprawl, and that would be bad. I still think that's probably a pretty solid idea, but I'm not sold on it, and so I ended up specializing my planets after I got to about 5 or 6 planets. And this guy now has enough. Let's get him started. Building that, and then very quickly here, as we get up to 200, we'll hire a second research person and a second ship and get them started down here. This is very defensible. See how it works out for getting a species. I enjoyed my playtest with it. I was really surprised. I used the exact same starting settings that we did here, and it went much better than I thought. One of the things that I noticed playing it, and let's take a look here. Biology. We do not have enough energy credits yet. Yeah. One of the things I noticed playing it was what I said earlier with the war. I only declared one war in the early game. In probably the first 9/10 of the game, I only declared one war. I had a neighbor that was close by, and they were unlucky. They had a big swath of space like over here. They had all this. And they were unlucky because they only had one habitable planet in the whole thing. So even though their fleet power was roughly the same as mine, I decided to declare a war on them because I thought if I could just get troops over there and take their one planet, I could then send my constructors and survey ships in here and take everything else. Oh, and we get the Ute Empire. And that ended up being a very smart decision. I had circled around. I had sent 2 fleets, my only 2 fleets, over in a clockwise motion with a transport trailing them. And they had sent their biggest fleet in a clockwise motion coming from the right down here to my homeworld. But they weren't sending a transport with it. So even though they were taking space from me, I knew I was going to win, and I got there and landed my transport on it and took the world over. That was the last war I declared until about 2470 when I declared war on a fallen empire. Everybody was declaring war on me. So Discovery will give us survey speed, which is kind of a big deal, and I like that. New colonies start with an additional pop, but I always want the pop growth speed. So I like going for this over here early. This is nice for the survey speed, but and the thing is, with the Devouring Swarm, when you're playing one of the other more regular species that has trade and things like that, and can do diplomacy with everybody else, you're trying to get your corner of the galaxy, and then you may or may not stay that way for the whole game. You know, you may slowly gain pieces elsewhere through defensive wars and things like that, and maybe some offensive wars, but you're not trying to take over the whole galaxy. But when you're a Devouring Swarm, the whole thing is yours. There's a really funny cat joke that goes, there's a young cat and an old cat, and they're walking down the street, and the old cat is saying, "Stick close to me, and I will teach you how to cat." And then it says, "Everything you see here that is not in the shadows is ours." And the little kitten says, "What about everything in the shadows?" And the older cat says, "That's ours too." And that is Devouring Swarm. Everything is yours. It's just a matter of whether it's ours now or later. But it's ours. And so don't be upset if you're out here going through this. You've seen me in some of my previous playthroughs. I'll see this. I'll be like, oh, there's a black hole over here, and we can't get to there before all the space gets locked up. And then we're thinking, now I can't have a matter decompressor unless I find some weird way to go to war with people. But here you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that at all. Just go. Take it. You're going to take it from everybody. You do have to be a little bit cautious with the way that you handle wars. And I'll explain some more of that as we go. This is a genius. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the biology person over here. Yes. And I'm going to stick the genius over here. And then I'm going to stick a half genius right here. And I'm going to tell this person, hey, go out here and survey the system. And this guy, he's going to get different instructions. So what I mean about the war, the nice thing about playing a Devouring Swarm or a Determined Exterminator or anybody like that is that you don't have to do things like claim space and then go to war. You don't have to spend your precious influence claiming space. You don't have to worry about vassalizing anybody if you don't want to. You can just go to war and immediately start taking their systems, which is very satisfying. The flip side is you're still beholden to the war exhaustion, and that screen will show up down here. That icon will show up down here. And you have to be careful because you might be thinking, oh, I want to go to war with these people, but I'm not that strong. I really only want to take about 6 systems and then be done. Doesn't work that way. You might take 6 systems and they still might be at minus 200 to accept peace, and you're going to have to keep fighting, and they might get the upper hand through that. So you want to be in a position of strength when you start a war, and a lot of times you won't be. A lot of times it just won't happen. A lot of times people are going to declare war on you when you're not entirely ready, and you're just going to have to be as ready as you can all the time. And you're going to have to use war exhaustion and fight hard. But if you're smart and you take things from them, you can usually get them to cry uncle. And that's the thing. Up here, we're going to want to go expansion. And then the very next thing we're going to want to do is get supremacy and get ship build cost and ship upkeep and ship fire rate and all these things. And star-based damage and choke points and all that stuff. You want to take supremacy next after this. Because you're going to run into people and they're all going to hate you. They all know what you represent. You represent death to them. They are food to you. And you're going to eat a lot of them. So it's quite... The other thing that's really, really nice about playing Devouring Swarm that I really liked is how clean this screen gets. Because the only species on here are yours and the ones that you've genetically engineered. And that is a very, very satisfying feeling. So here's a desert world. It's 80% because that's our normal habitability for that. It's not a tomb world. Here we're going to go new colony, start with an additional pop and then growth speed. This will be great because we're about to colonize this thing over here in a minute. So that'll be fantastic. You've got no more housing. The cool thing is, another really cool part of this is, it appears like when you first start playing these, when you first start playing Devouring Swarm, it looks like you're going to have a housing problem, but you actually don't. You end up not having to dedicate too many districts to this for some odd reason that I was never able to suss out because I didn't dig into it. But I never had a housing problem, and I never had to devote tons of time to creating districts. Now, part of that could have been the way I engineered my species over time. But slave pop resource output plus 10%. We don't have slaves because we eat everybody. So clear blocker cost. If we had somebody who was better, so food would be good, or synapse drones plus 10%. Food from jobs would be better. I'd rather have that guy. It's 200 though, and we don't have that kind of money, so he's not the best governor to start the game with. That is a nice chunk of stuff down here, though. And unfortunately, it's nice that we have a mega structure close by. That almost never happens to me, but it's unfortunate that it's a ruined interstellar assembly because we don't care about that. We don't give two blanks about that. It's nada. It would have been nice if it was something else like strategic command or something.
Our construction is complete.
But it's not. So what we're going to do is colonize. You have to have 500 food. That is one of the somewhat problems with... I'm going to change that and go with this so that it gets done sooner so we can get that food. This is one of the problems is you got to have some food to move these people over. It's a nice little desert world, though. It's got some clear blockers. It's got plenty of tech. It's got plenty of that and energy on there, so that'll be great. Oh, and what do we have down here? A desert world and an alpine world, and the desert world is 15. That's fantastic. So
our construction is complete.
Nice for us. You're gonna come over here and grab all these minerals. This plane, this is probably my second favorite way to play the game, is with some kind of swarm that's either this Devouring Swarm or Determinate Exterminators or Driven Assimilators. Driven Assimilators might be my favorite way to play the game. Well, like I said, second favorite way. I love conquering the galaxy. But the way that I've learned that I really prefer to do it is to kind of play it like a rogue, backstabbing everybody. You know, the sneak attack way. Like, I like to go in with a lot of envoys, make everybody around me my friend, get strong, and then go after targets throughout the galaxy, and then turn on my neighbors and take it over that way. That's the most satisfying way for me to play. But this, toward the end, was very satisfying. And the cool thing was, you've got a Colossus, and you can fire it off at will, and you don't have to worry about people all of a sudden not liking you, because guess what? They never liked you from the start anyway. So that was very rewarding, being able to use it. And it's really rewarding because there are certain like Fallen Empire worlds where they have 3,000, as many as 3,000 and 4,000 troops on a planet, and you don't even have to worry about taking your troops to those. It's like, no, just forget it. I'm going to bathe it. And I chose the bather, the thing that bathes it. It destroys all organic life on the planet. You can also, at any point in time, switch that over to the World Cracker or one of the other options that's available to you. I think Devouring Swarm gets 3 options available to them. So, yeah, the Colossus is a blast when you're playing a swarm like this. It's just a fun way to play it. And I really like the logo that I have here for these guys. It seems really appropriate. All the little... It looks like a honeycomb. And it's like, yep, that's what we're doing. We're coming after you. So, I learned what was going on with this. I was having a little trouble getting this to work before with this button here. You have to, once you click that button, you have to hold down shift before you press any of these. Otherwise, if you press one first and then hit shift, none of these will work. I was getting really annoyed with that after somebody's recommendation for that, and it was like, why is it not working? All right, so that person's over there. I'm gonna have a third ship coming behind and research those things. For right now, this person is going to work on continuing to survey, and we'll see if we can't get our food here. So what we have to do is go in here and say, everybody focus on food to the detriment of some of our maintenance drones and our amenities. But it'll, at the end of the month, you'll see our food jump up. There we go, 19, which would be fantastic. So even though you don't have to worry about consumer goods, which is great because it saves you from building whole worlds of consumer goods. It's awesome. You don't have to worry about it. But the flip side of that is you still need all 3 of these districts. And in fact, you need them more than you've ever needed them before because you need energy districts big time. And that is strictly because you don't have any trade to offset. You guys have seen me before with my trade, how big I can make my trade, and I really focus on it. And it's a really valuable resource. It's awesome. Trade is fantastic. It's the way to get you in the black and get a lot of money. You don't have access to trade as one of these swarm-driven exterminators type. So you got to come up with other ways. Now, later on in the game, here's something else I forgot to write down on my list of pros and cons. You've seen me on all my other videos talk about these refineries. Volatile motes, exotic gases, rare crystals, the top 3. And I have a rule. Every planet gets one of those refineries, one each. So every planet gets 3 refineries total. They get 1 thing for volatile motes, 1 for exotic gases, 1 for rare crystals. And that helps keep you more or less in the black on these. And you'll even see me toward the very end of the end game. I might be like plus 10, plus 15, plus 20. Doing that in a Devouring Swarm playthrough, I ended up with huge numbers here. And that was great because you can sell these and they sell for very high on the market. And so instead of having trade in the traditional sense of gathering the little ring units on each of these, what happened is I ended up selling a lot of refinery goods and offsetting my deficits that way. And that was how in the mid game, that's how I paid for a lot of fleets. And you'll see me do that here. That paid for a lot of fleets. Paid for a lot of fleet maintenance, star-based maintenance. And it allowed me to do what you need to do to swarm. This is pretty cool. It looks like there's a dead end over here. I wonder if there's a wormhole over here that goes over there. Where are these coming from? They gotta come from this end. Because this clearly looks like a dead end. So we're gonna be able to, this is a really good choke point into all of this. If we end up with a weak starting spot, you can at least choke it here. And then hopefully we can go out here and find some better choke points. But this is pretty incredible. This gives us... I've never had a start like this. I'm very encouraged by this. As a Devouring Swarm, you don't have a lot of options for the origins, and I didn't go through those to show you all the different origins that were available. But I kind of wish they would change the UI and cancel out the origins that you can't do when you're a certain type of civic and ethic. But there's a whole bunch that are unavailable once you choose Gestalt consciousness. And so that's why I went with the Tomb World one, because out of all of them, that seemed like the most useful down the road. And the thing was, I kept running into Tomb Worlds. And I was just like, why do I keep running into these? Okay, we got enough. Let's colonize this world. Avalam 3. So we'll get our first colony going. Half an hour into this episode. And the other thing is, as we continue to pump up the jam with our alloys, we'll want to be building ships. Alloys. Did I say alloys or allies? You know me. Sometimes. And this costs. Look how much this costs. 3.75 alloys. Don't put that on there if you don't need to. Alright, what do we have? Minerals from jobs and Corvette hull hit points. We're going to grab the minerals from jobs, but Corvette hull hit points will be nice. So I want to do this. Oh, no, not that. The other button. The other button. And what I want to do is very quickly do something like this. I just want to, you know my naming scheme. Auto design. I don't want to auto design anything. Corvette to K. Yes, so save that. I'll get rid of this big dumb thing here. We'll go through and create defensive platforms after a while. Okay, this guy needs to go down here so we can get a third planet going, and then he'll come up here and we'll have a archaeology site. We can start hiring additional food from farmers. Very nice. Pop growth speed though. King. Pop growth speed is king. So we'll go hire a couple more science ships here pretty soon. Probably when we get that archaeology site. Because did I see somebody... Leaders. Did I see somebody with archaeological skill? Oh yeah, right there. Okay, he's gonna wanna give him that job. Starbase influence cost, dink. The Klaxon Swarm. I thought for sure that there was a game called Klaxon. And in fact what it is there's a game called Zaxxon, but I thought for sure there was a game called Klaxon, and there's not, so I was very surprised that there was no such thing, but I still decided to call it Klaxon Swarm anyways. Klaxon, even though Klaxon with one X is a very loud noise, and I thought, well, you can hear us coming. Oh, and one of the things we're going to take, I have my list here of all the different perks we're going to take. Technological Ascendancy is going to be one that we'll take. You want to do Engineered Evolution and then Evolutionary Mastery. But the cool one, Colossus, I said, Master Builders, Galactic Wonders, Defender of the Galaxy for the 10 times Crisis. And then we still have an 8th one, Hive Worlds, which you get as a hive mind, which is awesome. Hive Worlds give you plus 10% to your resource output. So on any world that has lots of minerals, lots of food, but especially any world that I'm specializing in alloys and I'm just putting all alloys on them, those turn into hive worlds. Now it's very expensive. It's like 10,000 energy credits to and it's a terraforming operation, so it takes some time, but it's very much worth it, and the output from those is really nice. So Desert World, 80%. It's a nice looking little size 15 world. We don't have enough food yet, so we gotta wait. We're almost there. 18 turn isn't too bad. You're gonna end up with a ton of worlds like this. My tiny outline over here was full when I got done playing this through the first time for the experiment to test it out. And I would scroll down here, and they all had this little orange yellow icon up here. This type of species just doesn't grow very fast. I mean, you can try to make it grow really fast, of course. And that's one of the reasons you want to go engineered evolution, is so you can get clone vats. You're never going to get robots, but you want to make these as fast as you can. So you're going to go clone vats. But the problem is you're going to end up with a lot of buildings and not wanting to build on them because you need your minor resources. So, okay, so if I go like this and hold shift. This looks like a dead end up here, so that's cool. And there's another planet down here, and it's a Savannah world, so that'll be compatible with us, which will be really, really nice. Got a little bit of hot chocolate thing going on there. It's something new I'm going to try. My wife and my stepson are big fans of Oreo cookies, and at night they'll sit down on the... Oh, this is great. At night they'll sit down on the couch and read their books and stuff, and they'll scarf down those Oreos, and both of them are as skinny as a rail, so they can eat all the Oreos they want, and it doesn't seem to affect them. But I'm one of the classic people who COVID has killed me, and I have overeaten, and I am now the size of a small walrus. So instead of eating a lot of bad things, I just want to have a little cup of hot chocolate in the evening. It's not 1,000 calories like a handful of Oreos, but it's very satisfying.
We have found an anomaly.
A friend of mine had to have shoulder surgery a few months ago, and when he went into the doctor's office, they said, "Hey, you're getting pretty heavy, bud.
Our construction is complete.
And you need this surgery, but you need to lose some weight." So he got serious about it because the doctor told him. And I thought, I need to start losing weight with him. So I saw his Facebook post. I thought, I'm going to do something about that. Well, then I didn't. And then 2 months later, he's posting these pictures and he's dropped 30 pounds. And I'm like, my friend, you are an inspiration. I used to go to the gym 5 days a week and lift heavy, deadlift, bench press, squat. My favorite thing. I love the powerlifting lifts. And I was getting down to my ideal goal weight and getting lots of muscle on me, and I was very strong. I was really liking that. And then the pandemic hit. And I thought, well, the last place I want to go is a gym. But instead of doing the smart thing instead of doing the smart thing and like going for walks and working out at home and doing push-ups and lifting with some dumbbells and stuff, I just ate. I just ate, and then I stress ate on top of that, and then I guilty ate on top of that. So if all of you are out there doing something similar, don't feel bad. We're all in this together. But hopefully it's all, hopefully we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel on this thing. It'd be really nice. I know my bandmates and myself are dying to get out in front of crowds and play to people again. Music is our therapy, and we are desperate to play and have some good time and show some people a good time. I mean, I can't imagine what the first show we're going to be able to play like. I just can't imagine what it's going to go like. Everybody in the world is going to want to be there, and I'm so excited. Drink some beers and play music for about 5 hours. I'm so excited. Especially our set list. Oh, it's so fun. Oh, our set list is so fun. Set lists, there's 4 of them. It's like when you got to play 5 hours. When you got to play 9 to 2 in the morning, you got to have a lot of songs. And we got some really fun stuff. I'm pretty jazzed about what we have. I'm a child of the 80s. And so many of those guitar players from the 80s were the reason I wanted to pick up the instrument in the first place. And I know for a lot of people, Eddie Van Halen was the reason they wanted to pick up a guitar, or people like that, or Eric Clapton or Jimmy Page or something. You hear the same influences over and over and over from people. I picked up the guitar because of Black Sabbath, or I picked up the guitar because of Eddie Van Halen. I picked up the guitar because of 4 very specific guys from the late 80s, and that was Chris DeGarmo from Queensryche. Number 1 on the list was George Lynch from Dokken. He was the number 1 reason I wanted to play the guitar. Chris DeGarmo from Queensryche was in the tier right behind that. And then the other 2 guys that I really just gravitated toward and adored. One of them was Vito Bratta from White Lion. I know people think of Vito Bratta and big hair and kind of poppy and all that stuff, but Vito was an amazing melodic player, and melody is a huge reason that I love playing guitar, and it's a huge reason I love guitar solos. And when you listen to Vito Bratta talk about why he put tapping in his solos and stuff like that, and how he wanted to move around on the fretboard, it's clear, he's a true master of the instrument, and the guy is amazing. And then the 4th guy on that list is Warren DeMartini from Rat. Warren has a style very similar to George Lynch, and in fact they've teased each other about copying each other's style before. I always loved everything he did in Rat, and his soloing was always just so amazing. He can do the bluesy thing, the Way Cool Jr. stuff, but he also always had just really great rock hooks. And that's what I liked about the guitar players from the 80s, is that they wrote hooks and they wrote licks. So the rhythm section of their instruments, the rhythm section of their songs were always these really cool. They weren't just chords that you just strummed. They were licks, and they were built into the fabric of the song, and the licks were the song. And I loved that. And you don't see people do that anymore now. I mean, as much as I love Alter Bridge and Tremonti and Miles Kennedy, when they write a song, it's chord changes, and they're just beating the strings as hard as they can, and that's the way metal is now too. The intricacy of licks and riffs has has disappeared more or less, you know. And it's like Nuno Betancourt. I mean, that's another guy that's just,
We have found an anomaly.
he is friggin' amazing. And when you listen to songs like Get the Funk Out, what he's doing on the guitar, you're like, he's not playing a single chord in that whole song. He's just playing arpeggios and riffs and licks, and it's all done rhythmically in this sonic texture that's just amazing. And you're like, where did that go? And I understand, I know I'm kind of getting off track on this video a little bit, but all our guys are really doing is just expanding here. So this is my time to ramble, but I really appreciate what the 90s did for rock music, because Kurt Cobain and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, who I adore, and Pearl Jam, all those Seattle bands came out and changed rock. Now, in some ways, we all thought they kind of made rock a little worse because they took the guitar virtuosity kind of out of the equation. Unless, you know, Jerry Cantrell tried to hold on to that, and so did the guy from Pearl Jam a little bit. But for the most part, you know, like Kurt Cobain, I mean, he doesn't, those aren't guitar solos, you know, let's be real about what that is. But the thing that the 90s did that I love talking about is the 90s changed,
We have surveyed the system.
the 90s and grunge changed the lyrical quality, the lyrical content of the songs. The 80s, and especially the late 80s in rock and metal, the late 80s was about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It was about banging your girlfriend. And it's kind of immature, you know? It's like juvenile, really. But that was the rock of the era. And Kurt Cobain and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains came along and said, nah, man, we're going to write lyrics about other stuff. Darker stuff, introspective stuff that moves our guts in kind of uncomfortable ways. And that I love, because I never want to go back to singing about booty calls. I love that people feel like they can finally write rock music of that guitar oriented rock music, I want to say, about more meaningful things, more meaningful content matter, you know. And so now you got bands like Alter Bridge, who are the next evolution in that step, kind of, and a little bit of a de-evolution, like I said, with the guitar playing. But I mean, Tremonti's a phenomenal soloist, don't get me wrong. But what I was saying earlier about those licks and riffs and the fabric of the song are kind of gone. But they're writing songs like Ghosts of Days Gone By and Who Will Watch Over You and Blackbird. You know, no band from the 80s was ever gonna write a song like Blackbird. Ever. They just weren't gonna do it. Every now and then, a band in the 80s would write something that was a little bit more meaningful than Nothing But a Good Time. You know, every now and then they would do that. I mean, my favorite bands are bands like Rat, you know, but what are they writing? They're writing songs like Lay It Down, you know, and Way Cool Jr. I mean, and You're in Love, you know, and that's the thing. But then every now and then somebody do something really cool, like White Lion did Lady of the Valley. Great, epic song that's a tale. It's like their version of Red Barchetta, you know, and stuff like that really moved me. And then here comes Alter Bridge, and they write things like Blackbird, and it's just epic, and the guitar solos, and it's amazing. It's like, oh yes, please, more of that, you know. And that's what was cool about the 90s when Pearl Jam and those guys came along, and Alice in Chains is over there in the corner writing Sea of Sorrow and Them Bones and Angry Chair and Rooster, and you're just like, are you kidding me? This is awesome. You know, because first of all, they had a great sound too, but Jerry's an amazing guitar player. And he's probably the person that I think on my own I sound the most like Jerry. I just think that's where my playing goes when I'm writing my own stuff. I love Cantrell. He's awesome. But yeah, those 80s bands seeing the maturity. You know, every now and then, like I was saying, every now and then those 80 bands would write songs that were not the standard stuff. They were not the standard chasing booty. And I mean, Motley Crue wrote Dr. Feelgood. I was like, okay, this is it's a very heavy song, very cool song. And those kinds of things. And then Queensryche wrote Operation Mindcrime, which was not about booty calls in almost any way. And that Queensryche was the doorway for me. That was the door being cracked open into another world. And that was the wormhole that led me to Dream Theater and Rush and Yes and Enchant and progressive rock music and lyrics that had nothing to do with booty calls. And that was the music that changed my life. But I still have this very soft spot for late 80s hair metal. The Seklokar Star Confederation, they don't like us. They're materialist, and xenophobes. We sense prey, and they're over here. So here's what you want to do when you see one of these new guys. Come over here and say, okay, they've got 2 planets, and they're overwhelming fleet compared to us, and that's fine. What we have to do is, listen, what are you doing? Screw it. Move. You have to go over here. You have to go build that starbase right now. So we got to go over here and choke these guys off here. And so our science ship has been booted out of there. We got to do that immediately. Get over there and cut those guys off. So that's cool. We know where they are now. Okay. And they got 2 planets. So they got 2 planets just like us. Yep, they got one right here. So, oops. And so what we want to do... We've got 630. And it costs energy to maintain these things. But we want to start building some of these ships. To boost our numbers up, and we want to get ready to go invade these guys. These might be a candidate for early invade, because here's the thing. I wanted to talk about this, and I didn't write this down, but I definitely want to talk about this with Devouring Swarm. You have an opportunity very early in the game to go to war against people before they form defensive pacts and alliances. Because once they do that, especially on Grand Admiral scaling, you're pretty much screwed. Then your chance to go on the offensive significantly diminishes because you're not battling just one faction, you're battling 2 or 3 or 4. And you have to be aware of defensive pacts, and you have to be aware of federations. You just cannot afford to be irresponsible at all with these guys, with going to war. So that's lesson and rule number 1. If you have a chance to go to war with somebody before they become powerful, before they have faster than light inhibitors, and before they have really big fleets, do it. And do it before they form defensive pacts, and do it before they get involved in federations. Because once that happens, then you're playing defensively for huge chunks of the game. You're playing defensively with choke points and fighting off wars and occasionally taking territory. And really, I mean, I was involved when I was playtesting this. I was involved in 3, 4, 5 wars, and every single time I was ending them as soon as a white piece could be had. So we get this signal here in a natural wormhole. But then, late game, you'll get your chance. You'll get your opportunity. I'm going to go over there and cut that off first, and then we'll come back and do all this. Late game, you'll get your opportunity. You'll start to get stronger. You'll start to get bigger. And then you'll be able to put together some fleets and position yourself, especially with gateways and wormholes and stuff like that, so that you can take on 2, 3, 4 empires at a time, whatever is necessary. And then, at that point in time, it's time to just lay waste. You go at them until you can't go at them anymore. Take the white piece. You get 10 years to not deal with that enemy, and then focus on the next one. And do that, you take over the whole donut. So it's a really interesting way to play the game, as I was saying. I got this science person up here. He is our architecture person. We're going to see what's going on with this site because it might be some really cool relic that would allow us to do something really neat early on, and that would be fantastic. Did we not send... Are you guys... There's no shipyard. I thought I sent people down here to colonize us. Oh, no, I didn't because we didn't have any food. All right, get over there. All right, and then I rambled for 20 minutes about music. But yeah, that's me. Oh, man. I don't think they're in any harm of leapfrogging me because I haven't gone and grabbed that. But we definitely don't want them to leapfrog us and grab that and then go off in that direction. This is... Looks like a dead end. Is this going to be... Oh, no. This is the wormhole, and there'll be something on the other end, and it's probably going to be like the psionic entity or something really gnarly. So then we can go in this direction, and it looks like we're going to... Is that a dead end there? It looks like it. So we may be able to go all the way up here and choke some over it, and we'll only need two choke points, which would be pretty fantastic. I really like how this is turning up already. Let's see what we can do with this. This is, so far, this looks like a very interesting start and maybe even a good start. I'm pretty excited about this. And I'm pretty excited to spend the first episode just talking about rock music because that's one of my passions. So I hope you all didn't mind that little bit of numbskullery there. Yeah, we're in that. You're in that position in the very early game where it's really weird, where you need all of these resources. You only got a couple of planets to deal with. So these guys have 8 jobs, and what we can do here is we don't have anybody. And well, it's still 2.8. There's the odd factor. It shows up, and somebody immediately goes to work for it. And odd factor, yes. So now we have an unemployed pop over here who's a klaxon, and I would like him to do energy. So that's nice. Missing technology, soil remediation. Alright, you can go up here and do this stuff. These aren't worth it right now for 2 and 2. I'm not going to worry about those. I'm going to keep expanding because there's many more resources up here. At Wildor, want to get the other side of that wormhole. Oh, and they came and they grabbed this. So we got to be aware that they're going to leapfrog. So I need you to very quickly get that. I do not want them to take their influence and hop over here and grab this. I will be very, very disappointed. Unnerving perfection 2 angled. I can't remember what we get out of that.
Technology conceived.
Energy credits from jobs. Okay, survey speed plus 25. That'd be kind of nice. I'm going to take this and create another alloy factory. After this mining puts this person to work. Because I want to build up my fleet. Superior fleet power. So
Our construction is complete.
very early in the game, a couple of ships don't do wonders for you. So we want to be doing that. But that's the one thing. You saw me in my inward perfection run kind of focus on alloy production because you had to play defensively so that because people were going to come after you. You kind of have to do the same thing here. Since everybody hates you, they're going to come after you. So you have to project strength. You have to project a bigger fleet. You have to make them worried about trying to come and get you. That's what you got to do. I have enough influence. I'm going to create a second construction ship to come tidy this up. Like I said, you're not going to hurt for influence in this game because you don't have any of those packs to worry about, which is really, really nice. That's probably one of the things I enjoy most about playing this particular style with a Gestalt consciousness. Is I like watching this build up. You always have enough to do something, and it's not a problem. So we get the second planet. It's going to get colonized. This one down here is what? 60%. You take a pretty heavy penalty to a lot of stuff on here. The nice thing is this is going to be a research world. So I'm even going to rename it now. You can see on it, it's got tons of energy too. Oh, even with the hit that you take, we may want to colonize that, because to get the research bonuses and to get all of this extra generator districts could be just what we need. Keep digging. Okay, and you're building that, and then we're going to send you right over here and get this and start moving off in this direction and lock these guys off. Fleet power superior. Big time. Okay, come down here. You, my friend, come down here and do this. Where are you? Come get this. Alright, now we can start adopting ship stuff. Because what I've learned to do with this thing is like keep track of this. How many systems do they have? And keep track of their pops. So they have 42 pops. We have 48 and 3 systems. We're just barely ahead of them. You got to get to them before they meet other people, before they start getting defensive packs. If you can do that, it's worth the risk. And then of course you'll feed on them, which is really nice. It really boosts your food protection for a little while. You can go up here and see. Xenopops will always be eaten. Gain society research from eating Xenopops. It's such a... We gain society research from eating other pops. Oh, well. Have you eaten that leg over there, Charlie? Yes, I did. And I learned very much about what kind of television shows they like to watch. It's like there's a video game, and I can't remember which one it is, where elves eat... They get flesh memory from eating flesh, and I can't remember which video game that is, but it kind of reminds me that. Made me freak out. Alright, we're at an hour. I hope this video has been interesting, and what I hope is that Team Yellow here, I hope that you asked for this, so I'm doing this for you, buddy. And also because in my experimentation with it, I found it fascinating, so I'm enjoying this. Here we are, Devouring Swarm. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. As always, if you dig the episode, give it a thumbs up. If you have a question or comment, drop it down below. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you all next time. Patreon's listed in the description below. Thanks for watching.